Hey, who the fuck is this? So are you leaving? Running off to fuck some other wolf? It's a joke. Calm down. We we were just trying to have some fun. I was starting to realize that this probably wasn't the best time, but so you're playing this stupid game of keeping me guessing whether or not you're gonna ditch me by next year and then pull this shit outside? The hell is wrong with you? Me? I told her that there was no way in hell you'd fall for this since you already knew how I felt about you. I'm the one that should be fucking offended that you'd think that. That's not fair. You wanted a reaction from me and you got one. Happy? What's wrong? This was your idea. The phone, clutched in the hand, disappears. It's a prank. Making me think I just rolled my altar is a prank? If this is a fucking joke, then you need to learn how to make one first. Why don't you learn how to take one? How was I supposed to say that? Just laugh and shrug and say, where the fuck? So much for that? Is that what you expected? Actually, we just thought you wouldn't fall for it. At least not this hard. I mean, come on. I cropped that from the cover of some teen magazine. It was my number two, if you didn't notice. He's, he's just wasn't a good time, alright? No? No. What the hell are you doing here anyway? Semester ended last week. So you were staying at home for the summer? Of course not. I'm staying with Emily. You need to calm down, Leo. How can we ever have fun if you're exploding all the time? Telling me to calm down is the worst thing you can do right now. I'm tired. I'm hot. I just wanted to have lunch with him. You're overreacting. I'm going to Pueblo, Leo. I stare through the grainy darkness. The motel room air is dry and stuffy. The air conditioner must be off. I look over. TJ is next to me in bed. He's curled up in a fetal like position, his knees raised and his tail between his legs. TJ doesn't usually sleep like that. Leo lays in the bed across from us. He's laying on his back, his form perfectly still. There are no covers on him, and he's still in his jeans from yesterday. Neither of them are snoring, or even audibly breathing for that matter. It takes me a moment, but I can't actually tell if Leo's eyes are closed or not. I picture it in my mind, him slowly turning his head, looking right at me with no expression. He has no eyes. They're just shadows. I blink, trying to shift my legs beneath the sheets. Fortunately, I can. I'm not dreaming anymore. Leo isn't actually looking at me, but why did I even think that? And why does it make me so unnerved? And that dream. Jesus. I slide my feet out from under the covers and sit up on the edge of the bed. Maybe a splash of water will make me feel better, though I could really use a dip in an actual pool. At Pueblo, there's so many of them around, I take it all for granted. The realization dawns on me that once I graduate, the chances of me being able to afford a place with one nearby are almost none. I wring my tail some in my paws. My fur is oily and damp. I'll definitely need to take a shower in the morning. Hell, the motel tub didn't look like it had seen 20 years worth of dirty feet, piss, and cum. I'd take a bath. But first, I've got to get that AC going. I walk over to the wall-mounted AC by the window. I'm surprised this place doesn't use swamp coolers like every other home in Echo. It takes a second for my eyes to adjust to the darkness, but I manage to find and turn the control knobs. Despite cranking the thing to the max setting, only a petty stream of air is exuded from the front vents. It's cold, though, so there's that. I stick my face up to it, the blowing air on my whiskers making my jowls raise instinctively. It's refreshing, and the world seems a little less hazy. Still, I feel gross, more so than usual. I remember on Saturday morning, I woke up super early to clean myself, trim my facial scruff and head fur, and just look as presentable as possible. I don't really know who I was trying to impress. Maybe show everyone that I was all well adjusted and normal now. All the grooming work I performed didn't last 4 hours in the hot car ride up to Echo, though. Especially when the AC went out all the way from Gulch City to Route 93. I was so excited to see everyone again. Really. Rose-tinted glasses and all that sort of thing. As much as I hate Echo, the moments of hanging with the group growing up are still some of the best I've ever had. Even counting recent college happenings. We were all friends, but that friendship came with a lot of serious weight to it. Baggage that was never unpacked, I guess. I honestly didn't expect us to even try to. Flynn had other plans. And who could blame him? After that, Leo's freakout and Carl going missing, any sort of semblance of a fun, idle spring break is gone. It's like there's this buzzing tension in the air, methane filling up a room and just waiting for the lighting of a match. God. And here I am, whinging about how the mood is ruined when my old best friend is just fucking gone. What the hell was I honestly expecting? Us to all just hang up a bunch of Christmas lights in Leo's backyard, grill up some carne asada, get drunk, and dance to a bunch of indie playlists? And of course, I'd fantasized about some sort of brief reunion with Leo. I mean, that's natural, right? I didn't expect him to be in this rough of shape, and I definitely didn't expect this whole Jenna-Leo rivalry to explode like it did. I glanced briefly to my camera bags at the end of my bed. I have a feeling I'm not going to get much done for my project. With some reluctance, I pull my face back from the cooling vents and head to the bathroom. I try to shut the door behind me quietly, but it's still pretty loud. I look at the sink and realize that it isn't going to cut it. I tug off my shirt and underwear, then place them on the edge of the counter. At home, I just throw them on the floor. But I don't really trust how clean the linoleum is here. I step into the shower. It gets hot quick, so I fiddle with the handle some. There's some red fur tucked in the corner, so I'm guessing Leo took one earlier as well. He was worried the police would come by his place, so he insisted on staying here while we search for Carl. I remember him and I used to take hour-long showers together back when my family was out of town. My parents had one of those walk-in Roman-style showers with marble tile. He thought it was the coolest thing. I bend down and pick up the tiny, complimentary shampoo bottle from the rack and begin to lather the contents into my fur. It's not exactly the best for specifically my type of fur, but it'll do for now. I bet Jenna would have loved that shower. She had to use an outdoor one for most of her life, as I recall. I think she lives off campus now in a studio apartment she picked out. I've never actually seen it. She probably splurged with her full ride money and got something really nice. But it beats the hell out of communal dorm showers, which are not as sexy as porn makes you believe. I begin lathering further down. Usually I rub one out during shower time. Though at the moment, I'm pretty devoid of those feelings. Ever since I got here, I'm starting to feel sort of detached from everything. Like all this chaos is going on around me and I'm just here. I just want Carl to magically show up so that we can all go home. I'll rip some archival footage off the internet and just record voiceovers of the history section of the county's website. I'm not really an A student anyway. Grades don't even matter in journalism. It's all about who you know, really. I close my eyes, hoisting my arms up against the shower wall and resting my forehead against it. The hot water pours down my side. I'm a bit more sensitive to the heat there, but I can take it. I step out of the bathroom in my towel. I wasn't expecting to take a shower when I first went to the bathroom, so I didn't bring a change of clothes in with me. Creeping over on the pads of my feet, I disrobe and quickly begin to put on a fresh t-shirt and shorts from my bag. Jace? TJ and Leo are no longer in bed. Lynx is over by the light switch, squinting blearily at me. Well? Leo blinks at me. Buenos dias. I quickly try to scamper on the rest of my shorts, foregoing underwear for the time being. Oh! Oh! Oh, geez! Sorry, Chase! TJ turns, quickly averting his gaze. Leo just sighs some, rubbing his eyes. Thanks for the show. Your phone was going off while you were in the shower. My cheeks feel a bit warm as I manage to finally get my shorts up to my waistline. Oh, who called? Leo stares blankly at me, looking more tired than any of us. I wasn't going to check. An uneasy look punctuates that comment, and it catches me a little off guard. Can I turn around now? Yes, CJ. Thank you. Lynx uncovers his eyes and moves to the bed, sitting back down. He still looks like he hasn't fully woken up yet. Sorry for waking you guys. I was really needing a shower. Outer stuff. It's okay, Chase. You kinda woke me up from some pretty weird dreams. So, thank you. He manages a smile, still trying to blink the blurriness out of his eyes, by the looks of it. His irises begin to narrow back to a more slitted state. No problem, TJ. Well, you actually should be getting back out there. It's 3:30 in the morning. Are you sure? I finished putting on my shirt and moved to check my phone. Yeah, I'm sure. Man, when I find that goat, I swear to God. He stretches some before stifling a yawn. Not gonna let him out of my sight for a month. It's a text from Jenna. Hi, Chase. I can't sleep, so I'm heading back out to the motel. If you're up, do you want to go out looking with me? I am feeling a little better after my shower, so I send Jenna a quick text agreeing to help with the search. What does it say? DJ cants his head, peering at me with a sort of dazed, curious look. Jenna was having trouble sleeping, so she wants to go out searching. Leo looks up at me, his expression indiscernible. Isn't it kind of dark to try and look for him? I mean, not that I'm trying to dissuade you at all. Just seems kind of harder. It's that whole 48 hours thing. The harder we look now, the better. Sitting back and praying everything will work out won't do any good. DJ's eyes widen some, looking a bit taken aback. His jowls twitch some, the feline looking down at the sheets between his legs. There's a knock at the door. The sound of jingling keys can be heard coming from the other side. There's a scratching noise of metal on metal, the door being unlocked. After a moment, it opens. Jenna steps out from the darkness, rubbing her arms some and making a beeline for her bag. Hey, TJ. Chase, Leo. She nods to each of us in turn before beginning to rifle through her belongings. Aren't you supposed to be keeping watch at the house? Aren't you supposed to be in jail? TJ makes a noise that sounds like he just choked on his own spit. I tried to avoid looking directly at Leo. He doesn't say anything, though I hear the bed he's sitting on creak audibly. She takes out 2 water bottles, tossing one to me. I only barely catch it, mainly because it stopped by my nose first. Ow! My snout tingles with the aftershock. My nose feels wet for some reason, though when I reach up, there's no blood. Must be the burst blood vessels. Oh! She stifles a brief, amused huff, looking apologetic. You're still trying to wake up, I see. You think that's funny? Just walking in and hitting him with that. You think that's funny? Just walking in and hitting him with that? Leo's crackling baritone comes out a few decibels too loud, his tone stern, like a scolding parent. It has a way of catching everyone's attention. That wasn't the intent. There's a pause, Leo about to speak again, but Jenna managing to cut him off before he can. Speaking of, we're going to check in with Duke, see if he knows anything. Leo's jaw shifts, as if trying to speak, but the words don't come out. He leans back, then forward again. All fun. Chase, you all set? She looks at me, expectant. I guess she's ready to go. Oh, yeah, sure. I force a smile, trying to downplay the cavalcade of tension this room has become. Goodbye, guys. See you later. TJ seems to be doing the same. Leo just stares. We'll text with some updates in a bit. Jenna pats my shoulder once before heading out. I follow suit. The air is surprisingly fresh outside, even a bit damp. It's as if the motel room itself had its own oppressive atmosphere that was permeating my sinuses, and now I'm finally free. Near the horizon, thick gray clouds loom overhead. The reservation must be getting some rain. Jenna seems to notice as well, taking a few steps forward into the mostly empty parking lot before speaking up. Kinda nice out, isn't it? Yeah. She opens her mouth to speak, but pauses some as she looks over her shoulder, a light frown crossing her blonde features. Come on, let's go. She starts moving again, heading toward the street. Duke's house, right? And we're walking? Yeah. Is that a problem? She glances back. I reach down, feeling the tender, hardening muscles around my thighs and knees. Just still a bit sore from the hike, that's all. Oh, you're a tough guy, Chase. I'm sure you'll manage. A tough guy? I also some to catch up, the Finnick already on the road. She smiles some as I catch up alongside her. Your phone has a flashlight, right? Yeah? Oh, give me a sec. I reach into my pocket and flick on my phone. It takes a second, but I find the right button. The cracked pavement in front of us quickly illuminated. Just in case we come across any snakes or spiders. Or overweight rams. Those two. I shine my phone toward the sagebrush that winds along the narrow wash that passes by the motel. It's like I'm half expecting to see Carl's goofy, grinning muzzle peeking out through the brambles. I'm sorry if I woke you. It's fine. I was in the shower. You woke everyone else, though. Jenna straightens her tank top, peering through the cracked glass windows of the old ice cream shop. Even the for lease sign on the awning is mostly faded away. It's still got that old Victorian style architecture that you see in a lot of the buildings built originally by the wealthier settlers at the turn of the century. Faded green and pale blue paint still clings to parts of the main facade, with the copper metal roof a mix of dark amber and turquoise. In its heyday, it probably stood out something fierce, a colorful contrast to the harsh beiges of the desert, and ultimately an opulent reminder of the old world amidst the new. I wasn't expecting Leo to be there, honestly. He giving you any more trouble? I watch the pavement turn to packed dirt beneath my feet as we round the corner onto Gretchen Road. It's a desolate stretch of road, the only striking feature being a concrete mixing business that closed its doors back in the 90s. You can still see the big mounds of grayish dirt past the slated chain link. Ultimately, it takes me a moment to respond to Jenna's question. No, he's... Uh, just upset. I can practically feel the fox's incredulous raised eyebrow, a trademark reaction if she ever had one. Actually, well, this is gonna sound stupid. Playing Leo's behavior off as him being just upset is stupid, but continue. I sigh. Sorry. Jenna frowns some and moves closer, nudging my arm with her shoulder. Hey, you haven't done anything wrong. I don't know about that. Oh? Again, that expectant look. Ugh. Here we go. I'm kinda glad you texted me. Didn't really want to go back to sleep. I guess I was having a nightmare. This same sorta recurring one I've been having that's a little different each time. Each dream, I'm facing myself, but it's not me. Not like a mirror me. Things are different, messed up, blurred. Sometimes it speaks, and it's all distorted, like an old AM radio station with bad signal. Jenna looks away for a moment, then back to me. And each time it gets a little clearer, and it might just be because it's fresh in my head right now, but I kinda remember what it was saying. I stopped briefly, shining the flashlight on a tumbleweed rolling across the dirt road ahead. It briefly gets stuck on a mesquite tree, bouncing against the trunk and leaving a few twigs behind before rolling back along its course. Do you remember when I texted you that I got into Pueblo and you drove all the way back down here to celebrate? I do. We were going to surprise Leo, remember? I do. There's a delay in her words, as she seems to already know exactly what incident I'm referring to. The prank. She lets out a long, drawn-out breath of air. We pretended you were cheating on him with those fake texts I was sending you. He smashed your phone, and you told him you were leaving Echo. Yes, it wasn't the best of practical jokes to play on someone who was already fairly unstable. He wasn't... Chase, what does that have to do with your dream? She cuts me off, her tone more curious and stern. I know. It's just, the whole thing was just playing back like some kind of record. Everything that happened. All the fake text messages you sent me as Jared, me leaving the phone on the table, Leo confronting me. Then you showing up and telling him it's a joke, that he's overreacting, and then... smash! I make a motion like I'm going to toss my phone down. Jenna flinches, instinctively grabbing at it before slowly furrowing her thin brows at me. Has Leo been guilting you about that? No, not really. So, you've been feeling guilty then? I guess? Why else would this be, manifesting in my subconscious and all that? Well, I'd usually recommend expressing this to Leo if I didn't think that your attempts at reconciliation would be perceived by him as you trying to get back together. She rubs the bridge of her short nose before crossing her arms over her chest. We did already apologize for this years ago, but if you absolutely must, maybe wait until we're back at Pueblo? He's clearly got some issues to sort out right now, and you're under absolutely no obligation to try and solve them, especially considering his recent behavior. It's incredibly difficult to help people that don't want to be helped. Could this be? this be cynical view if I agree? It's hard to help people that don't want to be helped. If you disagree, you're saying you can help people that don't want to be helped. Right? I'm going to have to agree with this because it is kind of a factual statement and it is kind of cynical. You're probably right. She gives me a sidelong look. I mean, you are right. I rub my paw across my face, smushing my own facial features into my paw pads. It's just shitty, I guess. You know someone for 15 years of your life and you grow up with them. There's like, I don't know, a vested interest? I was there for every big mistake, triumph, you name it. I'm not sure what exactly further support I can even offer at this point. It's just been too long. Plus, I'm gone again as soon as this weekend's up. So what's the point when I'm probably just gonna fuck things up worse? Chase. Jenna's tone is curt, and I look over to see her face very much matches her tone. Leah was dry humping you at a kiddie arcade. You do not need to feel this conflicted about being upset about that. Look. There's a moment of hesitation, like she knows the right words to say but needs time to phrase them more delicately. I understand that men have a different hormonal attraction to each other than generally what I feel, as a woman, when I am attracted to someone. For men, that feeling of attraction, and I am paraphrasing something you probably already understand on at least an intuitive level, is broadly more physical and sudden. There is an emphasis on aesthetics and, well, the mechanics of what's happening. I blink, getting the gist of what she's saying, but not exactly sure where she's going with this. As stereotypical as it is, most women feel attraction as a sort of slow burn, where passion is derived from intimacy, meaning, contrast, forbidden love, etc. She gesticulates in a swirling motion. That's not to say abrupt sparks of fancy don't form for women too, urges being what they are. So I may not be adequately equipped to fully grasp the true nature of you guys' relationship, but what Leo did at the Familyplex is just beyond dumb, latent horniness. It's complete detachment from reality of you two's respective situations. Jenna's voice raises some, louder than her usual controlled level and probably inappropriate for this time of night. It's upsetting, especially with all that's going on. I continue to walk slightly ahead of Jenna, unsure of what to say and feeling like if I met her gaze right now, I'd regret it. I shine my light on a lone desert willow that sits on the bank of the nearby wash. In the branches, flickers of reflected light shine back. Eyes. They're small and sitting squarely in a nest made from bramble, like that of the tumbleweed from earlier. Bird. I announce, monotone. Jenna steps up beside me, hands on her hips as she looks where I'm now pointing. She exhales with some exasperation before responding. Yeah. Looks like a wren. How can you tell? As far as I know, Jenna was never much into nature or animals. Wrens are the really fat ones, rotund. She pushes her small hands together, making a circle to emphasize the roundness. Her eyes must be better than mine, because I can only just barely make out the beak. I look back at Jenna, and she's still staring up at the tree. Something about the whole scene of it gives me this strange twinge of nostalgia. Us wandering aimlessly about Echo with nowhere to go and nothing to do. And how we thought that feeling would last forever. Is it just me, or is this conversation kind of familiar? Not the bird, I mean. You and I walking around talking about stupid things Leah was doing? Yeah, that's not too out of the ordinary. She smiles some, and I can't help but smile back. Yeah, that and... God, do you remember showing me those yaoi comics you got from the mall? Oh yes! I hid them under a rock like a half-mile from my house. I had to fight a scorpion to get you your Koko Tanuki eye issues. She lets an amused noise, shaking her head. While my relationship with the rest of the group, besides Leo, had mainly stayed the same after they found out I liked guys, Jenna and I actually grew close after the fact. Despite not really being too into anime, talking to her about manga and the dumb romance stuff in them was always kind of fun. My hero. I sort of remember discussing the differences between yaoi and bara. You talking just now kinda reminded me of that. Saying those two words out loud feels weird. Boys love and man's love, right? I do remember that, Chase. I'm a little surprised you do. She says this with a forced, teasing tone to her voice for some reason. I cant my head curiously toward her. Why wouldn't I? I really enjoyed all that. Talking with you about it, I mean. Truly? I suppose I thought that I was only being humored for my special interest topics that the rest of you were not remotely as interested in. It's a little creepy, now that I think about it in context. I waved dismissively. No? I mean, you weren't like a fan Yoishi or anything. Hell, you should have seen all that sort of yaoi junk Leo kept on his computer. Fujoshi? And really? Sure, whatever. And yeah, he was pretty into the more porny stuff. Jenna laughed some. Most yaoi is written by women who've never met a gay guy before, and is full of gender-imprinted uke-seme tropes and dubious consent. Hey, sometimes that's hot. I'm surprised the words leave my mouth, and I immediately feel a burn around the edges of my ears. Jenna looks at me. I can't quite read her expression now in the darkness, though I'm not about to shine the flashlight on her. Yeah, that's part of why we read it. As long as it's understood as fantasy and not normalcy. Of course. I nod. But to take this back to reality for a second, no one should be forcing themselves on you like that, no matter what they see in the porn or how long they've known you. Right. I, appreciate the concern? I nod again at Jenna, who returns to scanning the nearby underbrush. However, I can't help but feel at least a little like I'm being treated like some battered victim here. Maybe I'm just too numb these days to feel like I probably should be. The road turns back into chipped asphalt as we get closer to the old rail yard. The tracks to which run directly behind Leo and Duke's backyards. Not that they'd seen any use in decades. Most of the houses down the road are newer, and the county even installed a streetlight after an old badger lady got hit by a car 5 years ago. That being said, most of the residences stand vacant now, in various states of disrepair. As we round a bend, I spot Leo's house down the road. It's a little ranch style house with a big backyard, right off a dirt road leading from the street. It used to be his family's home before they moved out. No cop cars parked out front or anything, not that I really expected there to be. Jenna slows for a moment, peering over her shoulder. Her senses are better than mine, so I lessen my pace as well, trying to listen carefully. It's dead silent beyond the usual desert ambiance. The rustle of breeze-swept trees, chirping crickets, and tweets from local nightbirds. I turn back to look at her. What? She frowns to herself. Nothing. Wait, did you hear something? She shakes her head, rubbing her waist as she refocuses her attention back on me. No, just some unexpected nostalgia. I smile some, glad I'm not the only one. Oh? What for? I can't exactly place it. It's just a feeling. Almost sort of like what people call deja vu. Ah. I nod sagely, pretending to understand. She watches me for a moment, as if studying my features for something deeper. I watch her as well, the golden glow of the street lamp giving her fur a pale radiance, blurring her features into something warm and familiar. Her bushy tail sways, and I can see the light plumes of desert dust scatter away on the asphalt beneath. They dissipate into the air like smoke from a cigarette. When we were younger, we had many nights like this, walking to and from Leo's place. Most of the time, we'd be chatting about video games we'd been playing or some manga that Jenna had gotten into. Looking back, I could tell she savored those times. The fleeting moments she had away from home, where she could express her passions without fear of judgment or ridicule. Well, occasionally there'd be ridicule, but of the good faith sort, I think. Whenever she criticized some dumb thing I said, or weird ass phase I was going through, it never felt like she thought lesser of me. She suffered through my late 20s frosted tip highlight scene phase, after all. She just was trying to encourage me to be a better person. These long walk and talks we had were like ways to gauge our own small town induced insanity. It was during those times I felt more secure in myself than I ever did elsewhere. But it's also when we understood we truly didn't really belong here. I can't help but wonder if that's what she's thinking of now. She smiles once, then picks up the pace again. I step up and match her speed. I hope Duke still works late shifts. I recall him being quite nocturnal when we were growing up. He works on the Blue Diamond Casino by the reservation, right? Mm-hmm. As far as I remember. I used to think that only native people could get jobs there. I know they try to keep it that way, but many of the locals in the res lack the skill sets and training for some of the jobs. Hence the outsourcing. I think Duke works or at least worked, as a security technician. Huh, I guess I didn't know him that well. Me neither, but he was friends with my father. I can see Duke's house now, a large manufactured home that's raised up like 3 feet off the ground. I think Flynn told me once they made him raise it up since it sat in the flood zone for the nearby wash. Said wash pretty much never had water in it, except for one particular monsoon season when a flash flood sent white water currents down it. It all drains out into Lake Emma. It's difficult to see in the dark, but the house looks to be in a bit of a sorry state. The yard is overgrown with tall weeds, and there's a bunch of stripped bicycle parts and other electronic components strewn about. Jenna sees it too and lets out an audible hum, as if acknowledging some confirmed suspicion. I'm about to ask her what's up when she speaks again. You know, my grandma never left the reservation, no matter how bad it got down there. I used to visit her a lot before she got sick. Oh? There's something about the tone in her voice that makes me think I should stop walking. I turn and focus on her. Mm-hmm. Hmm. I don't believe any of you guys ever met her. She was probably the most down-to-earth member of my family. Despite genuinely believing in a lot of the old spiritual aspects of the Meseta culture, like rain dances, Jenna gives me a look that makes me immediately regret speaking, my tail curling instinctively. You're thinking of the Pascua tribe. They're the ones that did the dancing around the bonfire bit that gets attributed to every native culture for some reason. Right, my bad. I gave her a little thumbs up of understanding. I must look especially scorned because Jenna begins to snicker a little. She just shakes her head. Hey, you're a college educated journalist now. You can't get away with the cute ignorance anymore. I've got one more year left of that, actually. I say with a faux defensive tone. I guess I should hold on to staying cute as long as I can? Oh, that's easy, Chase. All you have to do is lose the goatee. What? Oh, come on! I reach up and grab the dyed piece of facial scruff, and a bubbling sense of self consciousness burns at my cheeks. Jenna laughs some more. I'm just kidding. I know Leo isn't a fan of it, though. He told me as much. I let out a bit of a defeated noise. For some reason, that also kinda stings. Jenna waved dismissively, trying to get back to what she was saying. She seems serious about getting what she has to say off her chest. Anyway, Grandma had this ham radio equipment in her house. She started collecting it after Grandpa died, which was long before I was born. She was really into technology and broadcasting, which admittedly was an oddball contrast from her more spiritual, tradition based outlook on life. She crosses her arms, taking a glance inside an old parked pickup truck that's missing its plates on the side of the road. I shine my phone's flashlight inside, but there's just a bunch of bags of what looks like farming stuff, mainly fertilizer. I remember thinking it was neat. She used to sit on her porch with her quilting gear and just talk on the radio to passing truckers. Wow, really? I start to picture an old native woman who looks like Jenna, knitting needles in one paw and a radio mic in the other. Yeah, her radio had pretty good range. She did this for years, got kind of a reputation because of it. Sweetheart of Echo Valley, or something along those lines. Oh, huh. She was like Flirting with him? Jenna smirks, lightly shrugging her shoulders. Well, I suppose there was probably some of that. I remember Adam mentioning that occasionally she would find flowers in her postbox, sometimes even letters. Grandma was pretty shy, actually, and didn't like how she looked. When she was born, her ears and parts of her scalp were maldeformed. It was at some underfunded tribal clinic up north, so they weren't equipped to fix it. Didn't get the money for it later in life either. She brings her paws up to her own ears, running her fingers down them to the base of her head fur. She always wanted to wear these big sun hats whenever she went somewhere, like she didn't feel right being seen. But over the radio, she would mainly just talk to these truck drivers, ask them about their day, about things that made them happy. And remember hearing about this one particular time where she talked with a truck driver who had recently lost his wife in an accident. Naturally, he was very upset and was considering whether life was worth living anymore. So Grandma told him to pull over and come visit her. He was reluctant at first, but he did. Grandma got together with all the other old neighborhood ladies and rolled out this big ancient grill from the 60s. They baked a bunch of fry bread and cooked up a ton of tacos. She even went out and personally got the ingredients to make some homemade cookies, since he mentioned he liked those over the radio. When he got there, she taught him how to make all the food himself. She was worried without a wife he wouldn't know how to cook something decent on his own. She also went around and introduced him to everyone, treated him like a guest of honor. He was this little rat guy, really meek. At first, he was worried he was being awkward and was out of place, but they talked for hours and hours, way into the night. His wife and him had been together for 18 years, and she was an art teacher at an elementary school in Two Canyons. So before he left, she and him made a sand painting. A sand painting? I'm reluctant to interrupt, but I've never heard of that before. It's a painting in sand, usually done with pigments. What's interesting is they're not really art objects. They're for helping people heal to become better. Once painted, the person who needs the healing would sit in the center of the painting. The energy and goodwill that was put into the painting was to help the person in need, healing spirits, and that sort of thing. I know, nowadays you mainly see them framed up on roadside craft sales, but that's what they were originally for. So, heh. Jenna trails off, and I look away as she clears her throat. She takes a slow breath, and it takes her just a second to continue. My parents weren't there at my grandma's funeral. It was at some public meeting building out in Peyton for some reason. From my family, it was just Adam and I. Adam, really? Yes, this was a long while ago, before he started changing. We were nearly a third of the way through the service when the rat guy shows up, and I have to ask Adam who he is. The only people there up to that point were us foxes. After that, I started noticing more non-foxes coming in. Some were literally wearing those stereotypical trucker hats with the holy bits in the back. And of course, half of the people there were really confused who these guys were. Like, maybe they were at the wrong funeral. They just sat in the back, and then Adam went up to speak. She folds her arms tighter across her chest, smiling to herself as her gaze flicks upward. Adam stuttered his way through his speech, but at the end of it, he started inviting up the new arrivals in the back. A lot of them were fairly gruff-looking guys, And one by one, they get up and start reading letters. She pauses again. Letters thanking her for being so kind, for giving them someone to talk to about their problems, or just being so witty and fun to speak to. The rat guy, God, I wish I remembered his name, went up last, and his letter addressed Grandma like she was still there with us. He talked about how he was doing, how tough things were after what happened. He mentioned his wife by name, about how losing someone so good and special can make it feel like the world had become so much darker. But how it's always important to remember that there are still good people out there, even if they're just someone who can lend an ear for a while. And it felt like he was actually talking to us about Grandma. I thought about that a lot when, Adam died. About how maybe it wasn't just a chemical imbalance, and perhaps he needed someone to talk to. She keeps her arms still tight over her torso, though it looks more now like a self-bracing measure. A far cry from her usual standoffish posturing. Also, I thought about how you're so goddamn alone out here. She gestures with both arms to her surroundings. I peer down at myself, then back to Jenna. She lets out a little noise that sounds like a quick sigh before shaking her head. Not you, specifically, but rather anyone stuck in this place. What is it with Echo and taking away all that's good? She's looking at me now, but I might as well be a brick wall for how equipped I am to answer that question. It feels almost rhetorical in nature, something with so many reasons that you could apply that it becomes simply too much to try to put into words. I sheepishly hold up an arm. Would it be too patronizing, too much of the stereotypical guy thing to reach out to her now? It's a moment of vulnerability from someone who's cultivated a life's worth of being invulnerable. I suppose we've all got heavy shit under the surface, Jenna probably most of all. And while some of us sorta downplay it with jokes, self-deprecation, and lashing out at others, Jenna's always kept it under said surface. Seeing this all brought to light feels like something raw, uncomfortable, something understood to be immovable being moved. I look past Jenna to the wash, like the desert flooding. I exhale, looking back down to her. I can feel my mind going blank like it did earlier. Her expression's indiscernible, but she's still looking at me. Alright, this is it. This town breaks people. Feed into it. I know what you mean. I've kinda always had this feeling that there's something about this town that sucks all the hope out of people. And I mean, you can point to the environment, the drugs, the history, or even just like the sheer desolation of it all. But whatever it is, it all adds up to churning out crazy old people and messed up kids. Are you saying we got lucky? Or are just as sorry as the rest? Not as bad, that's for sure. And I do think I kinda have you to thank for that, in some part. My voice cracks, and I try to cover it with a cough. Smooth. Thank you, Chase. Jenna smiles lightly. And I agree. It's why after this week, I'm never coming back here. In fact, as soon as we find Carl, I'd prefer to leave. I nod. That's fair. I guess I have to ask, what made you think of this? I mean, the story about your grandmother. Was it just talking about tech stuff in the reservation? Jenna ponders this question for a moment, looking a bit more like her usual self. However, there's still a slight unnerved twinge to her, like her tail has an extra bit of bristle to it. I suppose that's what's got me talking about her. Though, I started thinking about this all earlier. Oh? Up ahead, the screen door on the side of Duke's house flings open. A familiar ash-colored figure peers out, attention focused on us. What are you two doing? He calls out to us, having to shout since we're nearly 3 properties down. At Pueblo, I'd cringe at the idea of someone shouting out this late in the neighborhood. However, most of these houses are long since abandoned. Jenna and I exchange a look before making our way closer to respond. The lanky weasel is certainly looking rougher around the edges than I remember, the old man taking slow steps into his overgrown front yard. Of course, he's got his gun on him, his paw gingerly clutching it while the other brandishes a cigarette. Or at least, I think it's a cigarette. Really late for a stroll, he mumbles. Duke? Hi, good morning. It's Jenna. Is that Chase with you? I hold up my paw and wave. Hi. It is. Duke takes a drag from the fat cigarette, and I see some embers fleeing about as he taps the end. In my mind, I imagine one of those little specks of fire catching on the untrimmed grass beneath, setting everything ablaze. I knew it. What Leo's been saying is true. He was seeing shit as well. Confronted him about it, and he got a wild look in his eyes, pushed me to the dirt. But here you are, in the flesh, and talking this time. I give him a befuddled look. What's he talking about? Well, Leo's going through a bit of a rough time, and that's certainly no excuse for the violence he imposed against you. However, we did see you at Carl's house, and you might have heard that he's gone missing. What good timing for your arrival then, Jasmine? It's Jenna now, but that's beside the point. His bloodshot eyes shift from me to her, and that makes me even more uneasy. Have you seen Carl since last night? Duke clicks his tongue, shaking his head more times than he really needs to. I don't think you're investigating the right mystery here. Jenna raises an eyebrow. He points a swollen pink finger in my direction, still looking at Jenna. The real question is, why has your friend here been snooping around our houses here for the past month? What? Jenna furrows her brow, a light sigh escaping from between her lips. I don't know what. I feel her hand discreetly reach over and squeeze my side. Hold on, Chase. She mutters, refocusing her attention back on the weasel. Duke, please focus on me for a moment. Listen to the words I am saying. Have you seen Carl since last night? Duke hangs his maw open, rolling his jaw around from side to side until there's an audible click as it locks into place. I don't think you're hearing me. I heard you, Duke. Please, a yes or no answer, and then we can discuss what you saw with Chase here. Duke's bloodshot gaze flicks back to me, and there's something expectant about the look in his eyes. Like he's waiting for me to say something revelatory. I have no clue what he's talking about, though, and Jenna doesn't seem to want to give him an inch of leeway to change the topic of conversation. I see his teeth grit past his thin lips. Despite the intensity he's putting off, he looks kinda distracted, like we're only getting about 3/4 of his attention. Maybe it wasn't quite you, though, was it? His voice is strained and quiet. The weasel scratches his inner thigh. I didn't see the Ramboy, or his lurid parents. Okay, thank you. Chase? Oh, uh, I only got here on Saturday. I wasn't here before then. There's only really one other otter in town, as far as I know, and he probably weighs 150 pounds more than me. So I don't really know who else it could be. Duke just glares in response to that, and I can't help but drift my gaze to the gun he's holding so idly in his grasp. I think he notices, as I see his fingers clench around the base a little tighter. Okay, thank you, Duke. It's really good to see you again. If you have the time, keep an eye out for him, okay? We can't seem to track him down. He's right there. He points to me. No, I'm referring to Carl. Carl's not here. Right. We're going to go look around some more and knock on a few doors once the sun's up. You take care, all right? Before I can so much as raise my paw in farewell, Jenna's already turned about and making her way down the street. Again, I have to hustle to catch up. After another half hour or so of searching, we end up heading back to Carl's place. After the whole interview with Duke, she starts ranting a little about meth use and the psychological effects. Admittedly, I was only picking up on bits and pieces of what she was saying. Apparently, the drug stimulates the parts of the brain that create urges for tinkering. Which is why yards of meth houses often look like scrapyards after extended use. Poor Duke. Though the guy always kind of skeeved me out, even back when we were kids. I think he used to have a wife at some point, who I remember being really nice. She used to ride her bike around town all the time, and one day she stopped by to help me set up a root beer float stand. Then one day she just kinda disappeared. Hell, I think I was playing at Leo's house when the cops came to the door and asked if Leo's parents had seen her. Jenna uses her newly acquired spare house key and lets us in. I'd spent so much time in Carl's house growing up that stepping inside always kind of felt like coming home. Carl's parents were never as friendly as Leo's or TJ's, but they were often just straight up absent, which means we got the run of the place. I glance off to the side and notice a divot in the wood paneling next to the door. Carl slammed his head there when we were roughhousing 6 or 7 years ago. It's a wonder we didn't do more damage. Jenna nudges me with her shoulder and I shift my attention back to her. Hey, I'm gonna put something on in the living room. I've been mainly camped up there on the couch with my laptop while you guys were out earlier, trying to get some studying done. Despite the quiet, it's a little difficult to focus with all this going on. So, you want to watch some TV? Well, sure, I've got something in mind. She smiles at me, turning tail to head down the hall. I follow suit, briefly considering raiding the cupboards for snacks, but that kind of feels out of line considering the circumstances. Flynn had turned the air conditioning off last night, so we've got the ceiling fan going overhead. It's doing a pretty good job of keeping me cool, the blade spinning so fast I almost look still. When I was a kid, I was always afraid of having my fan on the high setting. The thing would start to wobble and click, and I thought that any moment it would spin off its socket to come careening right towards me. This one Carl has looks extremely sturdy, though. It kinda looks like it's made out of some sort of brushed copper with a turquoise painted metal base. It's at this point I realize I'm not doing a good job of focusing on the anime Jenna put on. I glance over to her to see if she's noticed my wondering gaze, but I see her eyes are closed. At first I think she's asleep, though they begin to flutter open after some time. She rolls her head some in my direction, catching my gawking. Hmm? She smiles lightly, stretching her arms out over her head and letting out a long yawn. What? I put on my best innocent face. Just checking to see if you were as riveted by the ongoing developments of Mr. Wong's fledgling dim sum business. An amused noise escapes between her lips, her left ear twitching some as she stares at the screen with half-lidded eyes. Have the magical demon girls shown up yet? The magical demon what? I thought this was a nice little... what do they call it? A slice of life thing? No, I suppose that's how they get you. She hums her words, her tone sleepy and warm. They lull you into something calm, low pressure, giving you a chance to really live the setting before they pull the rug out from beneath you. Jenna's tone is infectious, and even I start to speak with a sort of rambling, only half-serious whine. Do they all have to be like that? I mean, what if I just want a quiet, slow burn kind of show? It seems like all of them these days just have fantastical bullshit that comes out of nowhere. On screen, the character of Mr. Wong, a rotund red panda, is cooking a batch of fried rice in a large wok. It's all so lovingly animated for something so mundane. You can practically see each individual piece of egg, pepper, and seasoning he sprinkles on top. Jeez, there are plenty of slow burn shows out there. And how would you even know? You told me you don't keep up with this stuff anymore. I mean, I occasionally will put some anime on when I'm bored back at Pueblo. Oh, yeah? Oh, well, I guess hanging out with you has made me kind of interested again. Jenna smiles again, and I can see the little tips of her tiny fangs. She shifts in her seat, leaning her head back against the sofa to stare at the spinning fan above. I have a question for you, Chase. Oh? This doesn't have anything to do with our previous conversation, but... when you came out of the closet to me, Leo snatched you up within, what, a couple hours? You had a boyfriend right from the get go. Something not so many rural gay boys can say the same to. If it wasn't Leo and you had a choice, presuming they were all consenting, my eyes start to widen some as I begin to realize what she's asking. If you could have been with anyone else in the group, as in not Leo, who would you have chosen? I'm reminded of Flynn's words at the river about viewing the reunion as a chance to pick and choose whom I always wanted to sleep with. The question is so out of left field that it must have been something that had been on Jenna's mind for a while. But why? Hmm. Um. Give me a second with that one, alright? I promptly pushed myself to my feet and immediately feel my ass tingle. I guess I'd been sitting on my tail again without even noticing. I'm gonna make some coffee. Do you want any? Decaf, please. I'd like to actually get some sleep soon. That's probably a good idea. The idea of searching all day on only a few hours of rest is sounding less and less appealing the more I think about it. I make my way to the kitchen and begin changing out the filter, Leo having left most of his stuff still running from earlier. So, what's your answer? I looked to the living room, seeing Jenna with her arms crossed over the back of the sofa, peeping at me with her chin on her wrists. Refocusing on the coffee, it appears the only decaf flavor they have is birthday cake? I examined the little container, spinning it around in my fingers. It's got a picture of a bright blue cake on it, with sprinkles everywhere. Jenna? I'm not sure you're gonna want the flavor they've got. Hmm? Show me. I hold up the mini container, about to walk back to the living room when she speaks. Birthday cake? It's an interesting ice cream flavor, but a coffee? You could see that all the way from back there in the dark? Jenna rolls her eyes. I'm a fox, Chase. You could probably see that neon blue cake picture from back here, too. So, are we nixing the coffee idea? Your stalling tactic? I shrugged nonchalantly, trying to rub the circulation back into my tail. I'll try it. Could be good. Really? Hey, I like sweet things sometimes. But, as you were saying, I sigh, setting up the coffee maker with the special delectable infusion blend. Oh, this is different. I guess I'd always had a bit of a crush on TJ. Carl was my best friend, and I think we would have worked well together. Flynn, I mean, he's the only other actual gay guy here, right? Or no one. Route 65? Maybe you would pick Flynn. I don't know about Carl, though. Does he. We find out that Carl is a little. Could go either way. I mean, Flynn. That's probably what he thinks. Yeah. Flynn. I mean, he's the only other gay guy here, right? Jenna lets out a long sigh. She opens her mouth to say something, stops, then begins to speak again. You're referring to teenage Flynn, not right now Flynn, correct? I shrug. In general, I guess. Even after what he said at the river? He not only called you a slut, but a boring one at that. And we both know at least one of those things isn't true. Coffee begins to slowly drip from the coffee maker. Thank you, Jenna, for the continued words of confidence. I'll be sure to hire you for my continued therapy sessions down the line. She smiles briefly, turning her head some to peer out the window. It's still dark out from this view, the window facing east and not getting any sunlight. I sigh, shaking my head some as I feel a familiar burning sensation in my cheeks. But seriously, why though? It's a simple enough question, but for some reason I'm having trouble forming the words to answer. Is it the no nonsense attitude, the fierce pragmatism, the dark sense of humor? Or is it the fact that he's a 6'7" predator with a venomous bite and a lurid stare? All I manage to say is, he's gay? Really? That's it? I shrug my shoulders. Jenna looks back to me, waving her hand dismissively. After a couple kinda awkward minutes, the coffee is finally ready. The sun has started to peek through and paint the previous dark violet sky with more orangey hues, blue just beyond the horizon. Orange sunrises are kinda rare around here, so there must have been a dust storm or hard rain somewhere down eastward. Jen and I slump back into the nice leather sofas and loll our eyes, sipping at the abrasively sugary coffee. I'm not really too keen on the stuff, but Jenna seems to be warming up to it. She mumbles something about it reminding her of birthday parties at Leo's. I'm only half paying attention, and as I lie back and rest my head on one of Carl's silken throw pillows, everything just kind of fades away.